Well, take a look at New Telegraph next. 2023 presidency, Southwest at crossroads over Tinubu Obi. Afenifere ARG stick to their guns, the first of the riders here. And then you see YCE says restructuring will inform position. So that word never, it just keeps coming up every now and then, is it 4 years? Well, minimum. But that is a big lead. And then this at the bottom strip, guys. FG disowns National Honors Awardees list. Says authentic list will be released. Wow. Just what is going on? And you have several people who have gone with that list. They've seen it. Anyways, look. There's a procedure for all of this. So you like to imagine that for anyone to have made that list, if it's authentic, the government would send them letters. So how come did anybody not get the letter and saw the names? And then others will argue that, come on, you know how some things work in this country. You just see a name on the page in the media that you've been appointed certain things. In fact, the media informs the people sometimes, in some cases, if not most cases. But with this one, oh dear, it sounds embarrassing really, but we'll look to see how they eventually sort all of this. But equally important, this is above this lead story. IMF, food fertilizer costs to erode Nigeria, others reserves. Global stocks fall to lowest since late 2020. I think we know that by now that we need to do something about the economy, food inflation. We know that by now, but whether or not and how we respond to it will eventually be the main subject. That is New Telegraph this morning.
And that is happening at a time when, interest rates are rising and businesses are complaining. Hey, anyway, switch to the Guardian newspaper this morning, and what do you have on its front page? It's also politics, perhaps kind of a response to what you read in the previous paper. PDP may cede Senate presidency to Southwest, SGF to Southeast. And look at the riders. It's Atiku's turn. Yoruba should not be selfish, says Adebutu. It's very interesting, isn't it? PDP rallies support for Atiku, blasts Tinubu over fitness video. Tinubu not on medical trip, APC chieftain says. And APC says, Northeast content with vice presidency can't produce next president. Kwankwanso contesting to win, not stepping down for any candidate, NNPP insists. Ex-PDP BOT chair urges party leaders, stakeholders to unite in rescuing Nigeria from APC misrule. The details of that you'll find on the inside pages of the paper. And several others, choose your pick this morning. Very interesting stories there all are. Stop hobnobbing with Wike. Rivers APC cautions Southwest governors. It's on the inside pages.
And from there, let's focus on the Daily Times newspaper, which chooses to focus on business this morning. And it reports on something happening in Korea tomorrow. Nigeria-Korea Business Forum kicks off tomorrow. Ambassador Ali M. Magashi hosts the world in Seoul. That's taking place on the 5th of October, and it will be hosted by the ambassador, who will have captains of industry. Well, let's also look at this one just beneath that. NIC judgment, that's the National Industrial Court. ASU did not engage in contempt of court. Falana replies in Gigi, asks FG to stop chasing shadows. Well, when are we going to have something definitive coming out of the lingering ASU strike? Perhaps we must hope at this point that there'll be an option of settling out of court, because the back and forth doesn't seem to be leading anywhere. The strike is entering 6 months. Students are getting weary. Let's pray that, they don't begin another blockade of main infrastructure. This is just not leading anywhere. Well, lastly, let's go above the nameplates to see this one. 2023, forget rigging. Ex-INEC rec tells politicians, says elections will be won at polling units. Of course, that's a follow-up to the participation of the former INEC rec on Sunrise Daily just yesterday. That's Daily Times this morning.
All right, taking a look at Vanguard newspaper next here today. Anger wells up in APC over party leaders wooing Wike. The first of the writer says, Rivers APC vows not to support Asiwaju if demands 25% refund of forms proceeds, accuses Buhari of neglecting Rivers APC. Their honest issues will be addressed, ascribed to Giadom. Grumblings over APC's dormant neck. Campaign Council meets today as Tinubu returns this week. So that is the big one you see right there on the front page of the Daily here today. And then you get to see what is at the bottom straight. PDP campaigns, anxiety over composition of subcommittees, release of timetable. So that also features. So, yeah, well, Mr. and Mrs. Well, Mrs. just right there saying, look, well, this rain just stop for God's sake. My makeup cost a fortune. And Mr. says, oh, please wait till the rain stops. It'll be embarrassing to see good money being washed away in different colors. You know, like a coat of many colors. That's Vanguard this morning, guys.
What Mr. was thinking, but he must have really spent a fortune on that. Nigerian Tribune has this one on its front page, and it's leading with the drug story. NDLEA seizes 13 million pills of tramadol from VGC mansion. Of course, we've spoken a lot about that one. Look at the story right under the nameplate, how flood crippled the north. Thousands rendered homeless, lives, properties lost. All of that is right there on the front page of the paper this morning. Nigerians can no longer be deceived by APC, Babangida Aliyu says, and so many other stories you'll find on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune this morning, right above the nameplate. Lynched herders were terrorists from Sudan. Bepo replies, Kaduna government. Story is on page 5. And I wish I didn't have to take the story, but it's right there on the front page, right above the nameplate. Yeah. Three-story building collapses in Ibadan. So it's not restricted to one area, region, or state. It's happening all over the place. Can we put an end to this, please?
Well, we hope so. And, you know, isn't it curious that it's the story buildings that collapse? You scarcely heard of bungalows collapsing. There must be an explanation to that. Well, it can't be said enough that engineers should stop cutting corners in, you know, erecting structures. From there, let's take a look at Nigerian News Direct, and it also leads with the big drug burst by the NDLEA. NDLEA arrests another billionaire drug baron in Lagos, recovers 8.8 billion naira worth of tramadol from mansion in residential areas. Well, if the writers from other papers are anything to go by, the agency is saying more bursts are on the way. It's reassuring. And above the nameplate, you find this one, 2023, amid independence holiday, APC, PDP, LP's presidential campaign rocks Southwest with large turnout. Of course, we've seen all of those movements, and there's more to come in the coming days. And beneath the nameplate, you find, at the bottom strip, I beg your pardon, you find this one, Osun APC Guba Primary. Federal High Court judgment dead on arrival. That's according to Oyetola's counsel, Ibrahim Lawal. It appears the last has certainly not been heard of the Osun governorship election. Well,
the swearing-in date beckons, and that's not going to change.
Okay. That's News Direct this morning. Chamberlain.
All right, we'll take a look at Daily Independence next here this morning, and this lead story may ring a bell. It's got to do with leadership on the front page here today. And look at that, it says, Nigeria in dire need of competent leaders. Bajabiamila says young people getting fed up with incrementalist approach. So there you go. Yeah, I guess that resonates across the country. So it's something that has been there for a long time, I reckon. And then you get to see, use your votes to deliver Nigeria from impending collapse. This is described to the PFN. So all connected stories right there. So there you go. That is it with a look at some of the dailies here today. Remember, you can weigh in on any subject matter you've heard here, or you've got up your chest, you want to get off your chest. So we'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. Yes, we are focusing on politics, and we're joined this morning by Mr. Wole Adebayo, the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Well, just looking through some of the headlines where the Speaker of the House of Representatives was saying that, look, Nigeria we're in dire need of credible leaders. But perhaps you could connect that to how your campaign is going on at the moment in terms of, do you see, if we could take it from his own statement, first of all, is there an opportunity here for young people, either in terms of participation, those who are in the thick of things, or is it such that, well, much as that statement may resonate across the country, but it's still a long way off for us to get to where we, at least closer to where we ought to be, for lots of credible young people taking their place, their pride of place in the scheme of things?
Well, the Speaker is right that those of them who are there, they are not the right leadership. That even
He said those who are there are not.
Yeah, that's the implication. When you sitting down here and say what this station needs is a credible presenter, you're already here. So the same thing was what the Senate President said a while ago, that Nigeria has lacked credible leadership. And you will see that the presidential candidate of even of the ruling party says that they've come to rescue Nigeria, even though they are the one in government. What we are all saying, consciously and subconsciously, is that we cannot negate the evidence, which is apparent on the street, that we're not doing well as a country. And everything that we need to do well is available except the leadership. Therefore, we are acknowledging the scientific reality that words are not enough. For every of the problems that we have in Nigeria, we have to make decisions and we have to take actions. So whether we say there should be opportunities for young people, there are enough young people who are good. I believe one or two of the old people are also still redeemably good. But when it comes to decision time, it's not the time for lamentation. If you are a young person and you feel that you are credible, you have solutions to the problem, you come forward and present them to the public. Despite criticism, skepticism, cynicism, you come out and be tenacious and present it. The voters are not as powerless as they are made to believe, because all you need to do is to pay attention to the issues, try to identify the candidates, not just by name or face or by the logo of their party, to try to know what they stand for. So when I was growing up, I knew that Azikiwe stood for national unity. I knew Awolowo had his 4 cardinal points. I knew that Shagari was one nation, one destiny. I knew that Tunji Braithwaite was about corruption and the people you call rats and cockroaches were eating into the fabric of the country. I knew Waziri was for politics without bitterness. So you will know what every person stands for, and then you would go and vote accordingly. There's nothing mysterious or complicated in all of these things. So we need to realize where we are, know the implication of remaining on this spot, because in science, it is not possible for you to be on the same spot. If you don't move forward, you have to move backward. And when people come out, you have to take a decision, personal decision, whether to support them or not support them.
When you say the voters are not as powerful,
are powerless,
are not as powerless as they may believe or they're made to believe.
Yes.
Is that coming from before you got into the fray as a candidate, or is it underscored all the more by what you have seen, and how so?
I've seen it in my interaction with people in politics. I interact with the people, and I see that the people know what is right. And sometimes they don't want to make the sacrifice that is required. They will tell you, I'm hungry, I don't have money, things like that. But in other decisions of their life, they're able to take very good decisions despite being hungry. Even when they are hungry or tired, they still go to church. Even when they want to, those who are Muslims, however poor they are, they still save little by little to go to Mecca. Those who have families still are committed to it. If a relative dies and somewhere in the village, they will still manage to get there. So the poverty or whatever they are claiming is not affecting many of the things they do. I think it's because historically many of us grew up in an environment where politics was not well interpreted. We were under the military. And they just see this voting as maybe just another unimportant event. So as we make it clear to the people, it becomes clear that the pathway to having a good country of their dream is actually participatory politics. And when I was running for primaries of my party, I was, some were even laughing, like, how is he going to do it? And there are big people in the party, there are strong people in the party, there are external forces outside the party who have invested in the party for some time, and they see the party as their backyard. So how are you going to break through all of this? But when I started interacting with the common people, but there are people who came all the way from Yobe State, taking transport, disjointed transport, get to Kano, then come here, and then slept on the street just to be able to cast that vote. When I was sitting down, they were coming to say, I cast my vote for you, I told you. You know, so I see that they're not as powerless. And the entire Edo State delegation had nowhere to sleep. They were sleeping openly in my compound outside, hoping that it did not rain. So I think that people can make the sacrifice. And I've seen people making posters, making drawings of my image and all of that. So I think that if the leaders invest more in talking to the people, not creating razzmatazz, to attract them like you're doing a crusade or magic wand somewhere. If you're not doing that, if you're actually having the time to invest in talking to people, I think that we will be able to get it right.
That is connected to vote buying. Now, INEC has said time and again that that is one key area that they want to stamp out. As a matter of fact, they're going on the National Assembly that now I think they've gone really far with setting up electoral offences tribunal to prosecute electoral offenders, of which vote buying is a huge electoral offence. So from what you've seen, how big a challenge or how close or far are we to addressing that huge question of vote buying at all levels of our politics?
You see, the problem of Nigeria is not that we are sinners. As God can forgive us for that. It is that we are hypocrites. God can't help hypocrites. Majority of the people in the National Assembly are vote buyers, even though they are passing the law against vote buying. And they are desperately looking for money everywhere to buy votes. Vote buying is a simple decision. It's easier to come from the buyer side because the buyers are fewer. In the Social Democratic Party, there's not one single vote buyer there. If there's a single vote buyer, let us know, we will expel him from our party. That's clear. And there are 18 political parties. So all you need...
Why is that? Is it because the stakes are not as high as
no, because
other political parties?
The principle is higher. In Ekiti, if we just brought a little money, we will defeat everybody. But we just got the number of votes we could get, honestly. And we came second, according to what INEC said. And then the other person brought like 99% of their votes. So what I'm saying is that it's not everything that you are powerless enough. How can I if I'm a habitual latecomer to your studio, why do I have to pass a law against late coming or late arrival when I can just stop the habit? Majority of the offices being contested are legislative offices, if you look at it. And there are only 18 people running for president now, for example. So maybe those who are trying to buy vote, about 3 or 4 of them. The rest don't think like it. Even if they were to dream that bad dream, they don't have resources to do anything about that. So then you look at the senatorial candidates, House of Assembly candidates, House of Reps candidates, governorship candidates. You can stop vote buying. And every political party can say, we will expel our member, but who engages in vote buying. But many of the candidates, or some of the candidates that you see today, did vote buying during the primary in their party. So it is difficult to just make us believe that this is an offense like a strange offense. It's an offense that can only be committed by the political class. And the same political class is the one passing the law that they know they are going to disobey. So I think that the first thing we need to do is to take a moral challenge to these candidates. SERAP asked us to sign an undertaking against vote buying. And I think that they should make a ceremony out of that and let it be part of the requirement. But from the point of view of INEC.
Sorry, how's that going to work if you sign an agreement against vote buying? Because if whoever you catch can disclaim, or any party can disown anyone who claims to be associated or doing it on behalf of any political party.
You see, what I see is that every agent now has a name.
They have tags and IDs.
Tag name, so you know. Those who did vote buying in Ekiti, I know them. We know them. We know them by name. So the videos are there. INEC knows.
Are they being prosecuted?
Well, I have not seen any sign of that. So, and those who did before. So what I'm saying, generally speaking, is that there is a need in this country to call out people who do what is wrong, not just hide over a law that you know you are not going to implement. Secondly, we need to make it impossible for it to happen. And those who are in the media also should emphasize that. When you are, like when they were reporting in Ekiti, some emphasized that the vote buying was happening. And I think the same thing with the police. They will talk and talk, but they will say, we were asked to go and maintain law and order. We were not asked to come and apprehend vote buyers. The EFCC, they have very few staff relative to the general election population. So they probably will send one person in a...
So what do you think should happen on election day to address this?
Before election day is where it should start. Now,
okay.
It should start by identifying those who have tendency to buy votes and to constantly get candidates and their parties to keep undergoing different procedures, whether the media will say, come and talk about vote buying and now you will not do it. There should be town hall dealing with it. INEC should call us to come. The Peace Committee should come on that one. SERAP, everybody. So we must continue to say vote buying is a problem and get people through that process of not de-emphasizing it. Secondly, on the election day, we have advised INEC that the architecture of the polling place should be that the voters should be out of sight and out of hearing. And
out of sight and out of hearing.
Yes. If where we are seated is where the polling place is, there should be nobody who can speak from around or see what the voter is doing. Right now,
the open secret ballot system.
No, what it means is this: when you go for accreditation and you are being given your ballot paper, everybody can see you, but you must walk up to 30 or 40 paces to a corner to go and vote. In Ekiti, what I observed was that the APC was the chief buyer, PDP bought some as well. As they were buying, they were following the voter to say number 5, put it, number 5. In some cases, they would negotiate and they would ask the voter to vote. The voter would display that he has voted for them, then go outside to collect the money. In some unfortunate instances, around Oye and Ado Ekiti, around Wiz Palace there, the policemen will be the middleman who would do thumbs up for if the person votes for you, and thumbs down if the person actually didn't vote for you. All of these things will inform INEC. So it is possible that you can do that mediation. Then the last part is to try to talk to people who would not even offer their vote for sale.
Now, concerning your campaign,
yes,
as the candidate, how is that coming on? Because you have a huge task ahead of you, because you're going against parties that have got a huge war chest to deploy for these elections.
I'm not too worried about their war chest. Most of their money will be lost through their members defrauding them and all of that. The most important challenge is communicating through to the people, because our people are in diverse locations. And one can get easily carried away. If you are a darling of the press, you come here, it's a very nice show and everything. But you find out that there are over 10,000 radio stations that people listen to as well. There are villages where they don't even have electricity and not enough money to buy a battery. So you rely more on what the local person who hasn't seen you in 6 months is saying on your behalf. So that grassroots work is there. And so there are 3 levels. You first want to create awareness of your candidature to people know you and they can recognize what you stand for. Second, you get a clear understanding of your difference between you and the other persons, for them to know you ideologically, not just know you by identity. Third, to have a commitment where they can become surrogates. So that's what I'm focused on. All this money they are spending, most of it is to hire jets and fly all over the place, or to do fanciful advertising that doesn't make anything. That is why, in the end, they go and do vote buying after wasting so much money on fanfare and discover that the message is not penetrating. So they just say, okay, let's just buy some quantity of voters and we'll win the election. But what I'm looking at is the cynicism of Nigerian people. First, that they're tired. They think all politicians are the same. So that's the greatest challenge. I talk to them and they say, how do we know? I trek 10,000 kilometers for Buhari. The guy is a disaster. So how do I know you are different? This and that. So it's to get that message across, that's to penetrate the soul of the people. Secondly, the poverty and suffering is too much. I was to do a program in Jigawa State. I had to abandon it because I had to spend my time now to go and deal with people who are victims of floods. People who are farmland flooded, household flooded, street flooded. So we need to go there. So people, for a politician, your aim is to win election, and that's what you're focused on. But for the people, they are focused on a lot of things. People dying in the hospital, people not having food. So when you combine all of this together, those are the challenges. I'm not worried about, they've lost credibility and they are not likely to win the election at all.
All right. My colleagues have got questions for you.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Well, Mr. Adebayo, there are those who believe that it is a stock in trade of politicians to discredit other political parties, other contestants, their opponents whatsoever. So why should the Nigerian believe you over those people that you are discrediting, so to speak? After all, you're a politician as well.
I don't know. I'm not discrediting anyone. If it's rainy and we're getting wet, I'm entitled to say it's raining. So what I'm saying, there's nothing I'm saying which Nigerians don't know. The hunger is not in my stomach. The blackout is not in my house. The children who are out of the university and people's children. So the inflation in the marketplace is the inflation for everyone. In Ekiti State, I'm not from Ekiti State. You see how people are not happy there. You have even your reporters. I've met them. I think even Sheung had a station in Ado Ekiti where it was broadcasting. So you know that everything I'm saying happened there. Evidence of it is before the tribunal. Everybody's talking about it. Even when I was in America, the Americans, both Republicans and Democrats side, agreed that there was vote buying in Ekiti. INEC admitted it. There's nothing I'm saying. One cannot be a politician who beats his case on the discrediting of the other person. No, even if you discredit 4 people that in the presidential election, there are still about 13 others you still have to run against. So that's not the issue. The most important thing is to learn to get used to the truth in this country so that we can have some credibility when we talk. so that people can listen to you and say, this person knows the message of what is happening.
But
and then,
the issue
without
then,
truth, you cannot do justice.
Yeah. The issue then again on the same issue, on the same subject matter is the same thing the current government said and the government before that. Every government, whether it's state government or federal government, they're always out to say, look, these people are not doing this right, we can do it better. Again, I ask, why should people believe you? What's your own strategy and how is it going to be different from what the people who are in government or in power or in positions of authority right now are doing?
First, the differences between us now is what you should focus on, because that will indicate to you the differences that will be between our governance and their governance. You see how we run our campaign. Always saying the truth. Always be modest. You cannot see around us a sign that we are spending money lavishly, that we are going to be a wasteful government when we get there. You cannot see us running away from questions, dodging, hiding, and sending surrogates to answer questions, not committing to process, not coming up, not showing up. You can't see us surrounded by those who have been causing the problems of the country. People make reference to 2015 and how President Buhari has failed spectacularly compared to what he promised. Three things I always tell people which are true. One, you can quote President Buhari, can go and do your research. He never promised anything concrete. It was always top to bottom, and things like that. And vote APC, and walk away. So it is people, other people, who took upon themselves to describe him as an angel from above and all of that. In our case, we speak for ourselves, we talk, and we speak to ourselves. And if you notice, they started with the same pattern now. The candidates themselves are not speaking. It is just people speaking on their behalf. Second, you will not see us running a very expensive campaign, collecting money from people who are committed to the status quo. You don't see us breaking the bank. We're doing what is proper, what needs to be done. Three, we're not giving you promises, because promises can fail. We're giving you plans. For example, on our plan towards saying farewell to poverty, I've given 5 planks on which farewell to poverty is possible. One, that we need to invest in basic needs of the people: food, housing, education, healthcare, and creating jobs for people. If you were able to do those 5 things, you would reduce poverty drastically. In a few months, you will start to see the result of nutritional improvement. You will start to see in a year or so, you start to see
Mr. Adebayo, your sincerity may not be in doubt, and I'm sure some who are watching you right now will also, you know, derive some form of confidence in your competence to deliver should you be elected. And just to go back on a few things that you said earlier about how, you know, the politicians who are positioning also for the job will have their money spent by their supporters without voting for them. But for you, what do you think, you know, of yourself, self-assess yourself? What are your chances of winning?
My chances of winning is proportionate to the amount of work I do. There are 176,180 polling units. So we've covered about maybe 45% now. So we're working on that. That is where the solution lies. These voters are sitting where they are. They live there. We need to get there. We need to see people working on them. We need to get input from them as well. That is the job, because the country,
to cover the length and breadth.
It's a vast country. It's a very small country. I've lived in bigger countries before.
Pardon me. So if you're unable to cover the length and breadth of Nigeria in your campaigns, you don't honestly think that you can win the presidential election?
Nobody can be president of Nigeria honestly without fraud if he does not have agents, boots on the ground, canvassers, supporters in each of the 186,180 polling units. In the past, people could sit in Asaba.
That's
Concord figures.
That's an interesting commentary.
Could sit in Akure
That's an interesting commentary there, Mr. Adebayo. And the reason I asked those first two questions is simply this. I've heard you say in other fora that Nigeria is not ready for alliances, but we saw an alliance sail through in 2014, which led to the victory of the All Progressives Congress in 2015. So some would ask, what are smaller parties like yours, pardon my expression, and you can contest that, doing when they can, you know, align with other political parties and form a formidable third force, such that they can defeat the establishment if they're really serious about winning the presidential election?
There's a difference between a political alliance and a conspiracy to grab power. What happened in APC was a conspiracy to grab power. There was no political alliance. It was not ideological. It was just new PDP, those who were not happy with President Jonathan, joining with Alliance for Democracy, ACN, joining with CPC, and grabbing power. We can't do that now because we see the outcome of what they did. Presidency is not divisible. If everyone comes together, only one of you is going to be the president, and that person will exercise all the powers. So it must be someone you trust, someone whose ideology you believe in, someone whose government you can defend. You are not going to come out and say, I was misled. So what we are working on now, every day we talk, whether it's Showore, whether it's Kachiko, whether it's Al Mustafa, whether it's Adu Ibrahim, whether it's Osakwe, whether it's Umeadi, we are all talking. Yaba Jisoni, we are talking. What we are talking is to try to find ideological convergence. I'd rather run an election honestly, win the election and govern well, or lose the election and go back to my work as a lawyer, than escort an incompetent person to power in the hope that the alliance will find me a space in government. Because what is important is that the alliance works not only when you win election. It works when the ideas that you had that brought you to politics are being implemented faithfully in government.
We need to wind down on this one. So what are you doing, or what is your party doing about reconciling the aggrieved members?
That's what I've been doing for the past, you saw, I don't know if you noticed.
Cases are still in court.
Yeah, but you see, you saw the September 29 meeting in Lagos, where all the factions came together.
But some were not present. Was Chief Shugbo Shashere present?
No, Shonibare.
Sorry.
Shonibare was the chairman on that day. The meeting was held in Ikeja.
Has he withdrawn the cases in court?
No, the cases in court will take time to withdraw. That's not the problem. The cases didn't file themselves in court. What matters is that the disagreements, it wasn't as if everybody was satisfied, but everybody came together and realized that the disagreements they had, some were individualistic, some were not as important as the task before the party now. So we are united. Everybody's working. So you cannot go to Shonibare's house now and say, who's your president candidate? Will say it's me. He's supporting all the candidates of the party. The same thing with Senator Ikeyila, who was supposed to be the president candidate on the other side. He's working for me, supporting me. But all the people who ran against me, my campaign Deputy Director General is Okuno Lamidi, Kadija Okuno Lamidi. So we don't have a problem with unity of the party. Well, we know that what we need now is the unity of the country, to get everybody together around the idea of farewell to poverty and insecurity, and getting everybody to implement the manifesto of the SDP and Chapter 2 of the Nigerian Constitution, fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, and run a social democratic government for the people of Nigeria.
We know it's a pretty long campaign, so we'll have a lot of time to talk about your manifesto or what you intend to do much later. Yeah. But for now, I have to thank you for coming on and wish you all the best.
It's been a great pleasure. God bless Nigeria. Happy independence to Nigerian people.
All right. We will be back in a moment. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Yes, Malam Haruna D. Saidu joins us next. He is a member of NEC of the PDP, and he's also a senatorial candidate of Kebbi Central Senatorial District. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much.
Well, recently the courts, if we could start from there, the decision went in your way for the senatorial position, but it appears it's not over yet because your opponent says he is going to appeal. So you have to be worried about that, are you?
I'm not worried, Chamberlain. Much as I don't want to dwell on an issue that has been decided by the court, albeit an internal issue of the party, my other co-party members. I want to say without missing words that I'm not worried. The facts were before the court, and the court, in its wisdom, look at the issue dispassionately, and in a considered opinion, gave me the ticket back.
So you're not bothered that whether or not it's a former governor or a former senator, those things don't matter to you?
No, those things don't matter. You see, the judiciary, as one of the pillars of democracy, and because of the issue of being impartial arbiters in cases like that, and in any other cases, a case that is being brought before the judiciary, once your hands are clean, once you are very much sure of what you are talking about and the case you have made through your lawyer, then you don't get worried.
Well, you've been a former chairman of the state yourself. You're a member of the NEC, of the PDP. But with all the experience that the PDP has in politics in this country over the years, there are those who wonder, why is it so challenging? Why do you still have different cases in the party? There's rift, there's rancor, talking, struggling for one thing or the other. You'd have thought by now, with that experience, it will be easy for your party to address and navigate through some of these challenges.
Chamberlain, I much as I don't want to believe that there's much rancor or there's disagreement and you find a lot of cases, I want to believe this is a normal political process. You see, no party in this world, and for that matter Nigeria, and under the present circumstances, is devoid of people disagreeing on certain issues, people having different shades of opinion and perspectives with regards to issues, however pressing, however paramount those issues are. You see, so it's a normal politics. Politics is about you coming to the market, bring my own commodity, and people are ready to buy. And even when you are trading in a particular commodity, you tend to be one single family selling a particular item. You see, there are a lot of brandings, there are a lot of marketing methods, there are a lot of ways people bring up with the end product. And what is important is these things, over time, they tend to turn out to be source of strength if they are positively navigated through.
But, you know, some will argue saying, look, those disagreements, yes, but what the kind of disagreements we see here within parties is, no, I'm the one to occupy this position. No, I have to, personal aggrandizement, and not necessarily disagreeing on principles or policies that should move the country forward, as we see in some of the areas.
Well, I want to believe over time, these things will be distilled. Now, it's a process of a journey, and you cannot in any way try to cleanse a political party or a political association or a political family or a political cycle with people with those kind of tendencies to acquire, aggrandize power over and above everything else. These are basic things you find in human beings. But what is important is, you see, let's see if this kind of associations or cycles or political parties are people with integrity, people who mean well for the society, people who have pure intentions for the society, and they have the capacity, they have the pedigree, they have what it takes to deliver the society from the ills that the society has been bedeviled with.
The good thing about that is Nigerians cannot be blind to that. They know who these people are. They've seen many of them before. In fact, even the ones who are coming through, they just look through the records. What is it that they've done before? Why do they think they will be the ones to do that? But that is what they will decide when the time does come for that, even though electioneering campaigns are on. But has your party, how are you handling the release of the committees, the subcommittees? Because we understand that there's some who are concerned that up to now, that is not out yet.
Well, you've seen the PDP. You will definitely pass accolades on the PDP for being the best setter and the party that is at the forefront of having a seamless process with regards to campaign preparations and inauguration of campaign committee and the councils.
Did you say seamless?
Yeah, well, seamless in the sense that it is not getting distracted by anything. However, people feel that those things are fundamental or they are very
So
well.
they are ignoring those challenges.
No.
That it's seamless.
No. Seamless. Those challenges are not being ignored, and as you can see, the PDP is so rich in terms of having established conflict resolution mechanism within the party, and that is going on and is making progress in terms of that. And by day, you see, the gap is being narrowed.
So is it so rich that they can afford to do away with 5 governors if they decide not to agree with the party or come on board?
But Chamberlain, there is nothing like, if you look at this thing from a very positive perspective, the PDP, especially the leadership of the PDP and different critical organs like the Board of Trustees, like the presidential candidate, the party itself, is making efforts by day, trying to see that this kind of differences in varieties of shades of opinion or perspectives, or the way people have an outlook over the way things should be done, and this thing, by day they are getting narrow. You see that there is still conversation, there is communication. People are getting narrow, and everything that crops up is within no time being treated with the skills, with the craftsmanship, and the good intentions and relations in the party adherents and party leadership. And so nothing that comes within the PDP that will scare people away. Nothing that comes within the people, the PDP, that will make people believe that certain people are being ignored or certain things are being put aside or brushed aside or being downplayed. No.
Even though many have consistently said that. But what is the latest position? How concerning the rifts with the 5 governors? What's the latest position of your party on that matter now?
The 5 governors are PDP members. They are PDP governors. I'm very proud members of the PDP. And you can see they have come out, and particularly those of them that have been very spectacular in terms of speaking about their party and their take and their perspective with regards to the party, have said that we are PDP members. We help in building PDP, and in no way will not be out of the PDP. Neither will we not sabotage PDP. We are with the party. We are only making a case because of our own particular understanding or frame of thought. And that has been considered, it's been narrowed. There is conversation, there is communication, there is contact, there is reach out now going on in the party. And and I'm telling you, I can bet you with my last money that the outcome is going to be positive, and we will move ahead. We're already moving.
Don't use your last money. You're saying it for campaigns. But what is the party chairman going to meet with them?
Well, PDP has a process. Now, the process, there has been contact between the party. You see, the Board of Trustees has a committee, which you very much know, that is contacting the critical stakeholders, very critical individuals or groups, and seeing how they have been trying to reach out and dialoguing and discussing about how the party will continue with what it has started with the inauguration of the campaign council, and how will over the time come as a more stronger, we are strong, a more stronger and more united political force that will not only galvanize PDP members, but galvanize Nigerians for this one-road tax option that will take this nation back on track.
Do you think the party chairman should meet with those 5 governors?
Well, the process, as I've told you, the process is ongoing, and I will want to tell you that not only the party chairman, but all those who are concerned, and those who need to meet who and who needs to discuss with who will be done, and it is ongoing. So
the party chairman will meet with them?
Why are you, Chamberlain, trying to preempt our party by this kind of questions? It's a process. It will unfold. Tomorrow you will see what will happen. Next tomorrow you will see what is happening. But the most important thing, there is a process of, if you like.
I've heard that, but what is the big deal about the party chairman meeting with the 5 governors?
Who told you he's not going to meet with the 5 governors?
Is he going to meet with them?
Who told you he's not going to meet with them?
Are you saying he will meet with them?
Why are you envisaging, or why do you think he will not meet with them at the right time?
I'm asking you if he will meet with them.
Of course, when the process goes to that stage, of course, the chairman is a highly party person and a politician of that repute, and an erudite scholar, and a person that is very, very flexible and very calm, composed, and therefore he loves virtually everyone that matters in the PDP.
So it comes across as though you will be disappointed if he doesn't meet with them.
It is not. Look, we are not talking about a black and white thing. But if the process permits, the chairman will meet them. He will meet them. Look, there is no.
What do you mean if the process permits? Who can stop him? What can stop him?
He has always been meeting with party members.
So nothing can stop him. So yes, why do you say process, if the process permits?
But the process of the PDP during next, during other meetings, and during when the committee of the Board of Trustees ultimately finishes its jobs, it is going to bring all these people together.
So, concerning the way your campaign is going to go now, because yes, we've seen your presidential candidate, he's moving in different parts of the country, and I know you heard several times how many are not exactly sure why they should pitch their tent with your party, because they've seen what your party has done before. So many of them think, look, I think we should try somewhere else. Is there anything wrong with those people, or with them doing that particularly?
Chamberlain, I would want to tell you, the Nigerian scenario today, from whichever angle you look at it, cannot escape the PDP coming to bring together Nigerians galvanize Nigerians, mobilize Nigerians, sensitize them, and bring this nation on track. What is happening, why you have people maybe being part of the PDP and maybe taking another angle or going along another line of political mobilization and what have you. These are all positive things. Ultimately, these people were trained by the PDP. If you look at even their modes of campaign, what they speak about, these are things they have really learned in the PDP. They have really, what is being said in other places, it's not new. These are part of the antecedent in terms of governance, in terms of statecraftship, in terms of moving the society along a particular trajectory which had yielded a lot of fruits for this nation during the reign of the PDP. So maybe precisely if you want to talk about certain parties that have come up and maybe adopting somewhat, not novel, but certain ways of mobilizing people, maybe bringing in
I thought you
liberation, kind of theology, liberation theology, maybe emphasizing on a particular strata of the society, like the youths of the reality on the ground is, and that is the way I look at it. This are a kind of I will call it a splinter group of the PDP, because they will ultimately come back and join this one wagon. That is my belief, because in Nigeria, as plural as it is,
all right, well,
as multi-faceted, culture-wise.
So all of that.
This was in Nigeria.
What about all of those who are on the street saying they will not support either the APC or the PDP because they are tired of what they've seen over the years? They want to try somewhere else. Are you discountenancing that particular scenario when you say splinter group and they will come back to PDP?
Yes, I will want to tell you that. Politics, campaigns, and winning election is arithmetic. And I have told you, as plural as Nigerian society is, if you look at the way elections had been conducted before, if you look at the performance of PDP when it was in government, and this you cannot take away from the PDP. If you look at the performance of the APC, and we are only being witnesses to the
all right. Well,
the way the country is slipping into something.
All right, just 1 minute. My colleagues have got some questions for you as well. Go ahead, guys.
Thank you, Chamberlain. Well, let me just ask you, Mr. Saidu, one of the issues that a number of people might be thinking about, going back to the conversation you were having with Chamberlain about the internal wrangling, so to speak, within your party. Of course, you know, the issue of the contests or contestations that Governor Wike has with the party is in public domain. And recently he was seen in the company of, you know, the president and some other people from other political parties. There are those who are wondering whether or not Governor Wike would be sanctioned for what you call, you know, a party, you know, conflict and all of those things. What's the position of the neck of the PDP on that anti-party activities, you call it?
I want to say this. One, I'm not the spokesperson of the neck of the PDP. And I want to tell you that Governor Wike, other governors, other PDP members, the presidential candidates, the party leadership are PDP members. They will work for the PDP, and PDP is going to count heavily on their richness in terms of program of action they have for the country, in terms of what they have laid down for their people well before and now in terms of delivery of the goods of democracy and the kind of feat they have achieved in terms of governance. And I want to tell you whether a person, Wike, is seen with another person. That's the person that was seen with Wike just left the party some months ago. He was a vice presidential candidate of our party, just the last 2019 election. And ultimately, it could be discussions about him at one level, because there is a limit, very, very limited feat he can achieve if you go by the kind of methodologies he's adopting in campaign and other things. So look, I don't want mountains be created out of molehills with regards to this.
Are you saying that the campaign, that will just 1 second,
ultimately bring back people?
Are you saying that the campaign of the Labour Party is not going anywhere, given the fact that he's speaking to Mr. Wike and with Governor Wike, beg your pardon, and that he might be coming to the PDP? Is that what you're saying?
The Labour Party, I have no problem with the Labour Party taking, mobilizing people, galvanizing people. I think ultimately the Labour Party and Governor Obi just want to make a point. You see, I have always said, as plural as the Nigerian society is, you cannot campaign based on primordial sentiments, weeping sentiment, and being directed at a particular region or talking about a particular creed or a particular strata of the society. What you need to do is to articulate all these things and bring them within the national space and within the national framework. You see, there is limit to what a person can achieve when he comes
you don't
to make
think,
a
in your opinion,
mobilization.
It sounds like you're saying,
and using primordial sentiment.
Just a second. Are you saying in a sense that the campaigns of the Labour Party, which they believe has been organic so far, all across the nation, is not strong enough to achieve anything? Is that what you're saying?
Now, what I'm telling you is that I'm not a political consultant to the Labour Party, but I'm telling you, I'm making a dispassionate assessment of the Labour Party in terms of its methodology, the way it is going about its mobilization. You see, much as I would want to see the church and the mosques being part of the process of political socialization and political sensitization. But it must not do that based on creed. It has to come and do that by articulating certain critical issues the nation is facing, and how we can bring together Nigerians of all shades, of all persuasions together and make a case for them, and try to see how can we come with a program of action that will place Nigeria on a trajectory that will be more rewarding, and therefore for this very present generation and the future generation to come of Nigerians. And the critical factor is consensus and nation building. When we don't put consensus and nation building at the front burner of our political discourse and political mobilization, we'll end up limiting ourselves to a particular place, a particular people. And that will make no sense of democracy, no sense of a plural democracy that obtains in Nigeria. And that is the conversation. We want to see people discussing about issues, very critical issues, not only discussing as an issue at a passing level. No, we must see a candidate coming to discuss, coming to show how practically he is going to implement his program of action, the blueprint he has for Nigeria. And he must come with the kind of pedigree in terms of delivery of the deliverables as far as the democratic system.
As you wind down this one now, I know you're aware of the 151 million naira housing allowance scandal where they returned and raising controversies in different quarters of the party. Does NEC members, do they get housing allowance too?
Chamberlain, I thought maybe you have not read or you have not refreshed your understanding.
Refresh our memory, and you are a member of NEC. So tell us.
About the PDP constitution and the way the political party and the PDP is being run administratively, you understand. When you know that, then you will definitely know that what is moving around in the social media and what is being said and the kind of mishaps that have been had do not this. So are not the reality on the ground. So they're not the reality on the ground.
You have had or not?
You have had the various spokesperson for the PDP telling you that this was a normal administrative process and these were monies paid to the NWC members for the purpose of housing allowance and others, and also other staff also were fed several allowances and other things.
Saying it was wrong.
Yes, because the media decided, and unfortunately, it's the Nation newspaper.
Decided what?
Yeah, press brought out the issue and started making.
Didn't it happen?
No, come on. It's if you could see what was written in the letters of those.
No, but tell us. Okay, you are a member now.
What they said.
Okay, so tell us.
The NWC members that were concerned said that because of the media is awash with a lot of things, therefore they want to return this money, and when by the time it becomes very clear that it is money for this, then they will take it back.
They will take the money they return back.
Yes. One of them indicates that. Therefore now, because the media, because look, people need to contribute towards a very smooth process of campaign and how parties will come with their perspectives and not emphasizing negatively on issues tiny issues. Now, of course, why is it the media is beaming its lights on the PDP? Other parties have their own.
The media beams its light on anything that happens anywhere. We can't question what they beam their light on. But if you don't want them to beam their light on it, then it shouldn't happen. If it happens, the media will report it.
When the media, there are internal memos going on within all parties. In a normal setup, an organization or a political party, it's a normal thing. Things are being queried, things are being written, things are being. Otherwise, what will be the motive behind when a person within a particular organization writes a letter to his superior concerning certain things that have gone on? Then that will be thrown by the media and talking about certain things that have gone on and gone on.
Well, unfortunately, Balam Saidu, the thing is, if the parties are angry with that, they have to get ready because the media will report more of those matters. If it happens, they will report a lot of it.
What we need is objective, investigative, and very positive.
What is subjective about that? They returned money. You said one of them said they will get the money back. So what did the media do wrong?
Well, no, that's certain insinuations that have been attached to.
All right.
To
anyway, in other words, as you wind down, that suggests that you're not about to return your allowance as a member of NEC, for instance. So nobody should expect you to return anything.
NEC members are not residential members of. They are not supposed to be residential, and therefore you will not find housing allowance attached to them. The working committee members they are residential, they go to the office and they have to be lodged. You realize a lot of them are not from Abuja, and therefore it is a normal process.
All right.
No, you don't, for example, I want to ask you, have you ever talked about what is happening in the APC? This has not been brought to the front burner.
Are you seriously asking that question, Madam
Yes,
Said?
no. The media has deliberately placed a blackout on the kind of what do I call it?
A blackout, really?
Yes.
Okay, guys, just a minute. Can we take a look at the front page of Vanguard newspaper this morning? So the Malam Saidu can see that in case he missed the newspaper review segment this morning, if we can. So I need to be sure if we can just quickly do that as we close on this one. He said there's been a blackout on the part of the media. So we need to just let him see if he considers this a blackout as well. Can we see that? All right, if you look at the front page of Vanguard today, Malam Saidu, anger wells up in APC over party leaders wooing Wike. Is that a blackout? That is the news about the APC. What do you say to that now?
Well, the very fact that the Wike factor comes in also presupposes still it is a one-sided. I want to talk about
whoa. So wait. You move from
the APC
the media
to take up its campaign.
Madam, you move from accusing the media of blackout. Now you talk about being one-sided. So you're shifting the goalposts in the middle of the game now.
I'm saying about the APC, the internal workings of the campaigns of the APC. It has not been able to take up. They have not put themselves together. You see, everything is in a disarray.
You conveniently want to talk about the Labour Party and the APC, but don't want to focus on what is going on within your party.
I've just spoken about the PDP.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time now. We do thank you for coming on. Madam Haruna D. Saidu is a member of NEC with the PDP. He's also a senatorial candidate for Kebbi Central. Thank you for coming on and all the best.
You are welcome. Thank you very much.
We will be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Well, thank you for staying with us. Most certainly, so many issues will determine whether or not we have the kind of leader we want, or leaders we want, in the coming elections in 2023. The economy is most certainly one of them. Just not too long ago, we heard that the Central Bank of Nigeria, following its meeting, increased the MPR from 10% to 30%, and so many people, individuals and companies, have been asking questions in their minds. Interest rates, beg your pardon, have been asking a lot of questions in their minds. So let's ask our own questions, and hopefully they will be part of the questions you've been asking yourself. Dr. Austin Weze joins us this morning. He's an economist. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
First of all, when you heard this announcement, how did it come to you?
Well, not surprising, knowing the antecedents of CBN, their policies and all that, and the inflation targeting. What they have done is that since that the inflation is high, and one of the ways of taming inflation is by increasing the interest rate. And you know that interest rate has a way of influencing the entire economy. Whatever you want to achieve in the economy, if you manipulate the interest rate very well, it will either, contract the economy or expand the economy. In the sense that if you reduce the interest rate, it will make funds more available for businesses to borrow and expand, thereby creating jobs. But if you want to contract the economy when the inflation is high, you increase the interest rate. So the purchasing power is, But I worry that because what the central bank should be thinking, or not even the Ministry of Finance and the fiscal policy end of it, is what they should be thinking about is how do we expand the economy? How do we produce? But that's the major thing.
But that's a conversation we've been having for eons, for a very, very, very long time now. If memory serves me right, as far back as the late 70s into the early 80s, that we've been having this conversation.
Yeah, because you see that they don't know what to do, or they deliberately, and they feel that they're doing investors a favor, okay? And some at the body language of the either policymakers or decision makers and all that, that shows that, for instance, when Bola Ige was Minister of Power, some group came from, I think, Hungary, thereabouts. I think either Hungary or one of the Nordic countries, to invest over $2 billion in power. But that project was killed. Some other group came to do railway from Lagos to Calabar in 4 hours. That project was killed. You know, so, and you see them going about doing the same thing from that time even up to now.
So what, in your opinion, informs these decisions, you know, frustrating these investments, killing this and killing that, as you just talked about?
Self-interest, or invested interests.
Whose interest?
Invested interest. Invested interest. For instance, and it may is in the open, in the media, and you know, it's common knowledge that for power to work, you need to take care of the generator importers. And some generator importers have also positioned themselves to supply, you know, just in case they ban generator any day, so that they can position themselves to buy or supply, play in the power sector. Okay, they already play in the power sector. So you see, these things, it takes leadership to be able to, you know, handle this.
Okay. Now, going to the issue of, you know, how this all plays out, you know, concerning, you know, the elections, politics, the leadership that you mentioned now, what should be the focus of the Nigerian, especially the businesses? Because the crucial issue, as far as I'm concerned here, is if this, you know, continues as the CBN has begun to execute now, it's most certainly going to have a lot of impact on smaller businesses and the employment figures. Yeah. Isn't that correct?
Yes, definitely, because I'm not sure businesses are asking I don't know whether there'll be debate and then this question will be asked. Or, you know, they're asking, I'm not sure they're asking the right questions right now. The concern of every business is the interest rate. The three, you know, the unholy trinity, the interest rate, foreign exchange, and inflation. How are they going to manage it? These are the questions that the businesses are asking or should be asking.
Who should be asking on behalf?
The businesses should be asking the candidates what their positions on the economy.
But just recently,
maybe we should be asking the CBN, you know, if raising interest rate is supposed to encourage borrowing and making people spend less. I wonder if you have seen a justification for that decision, you know, because in the past 2 months we've seen the CBN do that. Have you witnessed, you know, that expected impact, especially in the real sector, of people borrowing more and spending less? Because we're not producing. That means that we're expecting another, you know, inflation figure in another month.
Yeah, because one is this. They expecting people to borrow more, and okay, the cash reserve ratio has also been increased, which makes it the banks, you know, difficult to have the kind of money they should have to express themselves to loan to the businesses. So businesses are choking, and you see them taking off to different. My friend that runs a business in Abuja just folded up because he couldn't cope. You know, the interest rate is killing. And the small businesses cannot borrow. They are not competitive. Yes, our products cannot compete outside. Nigeria is not competitive. They, you know, because of the business ease of doing business and business environment, you know, is choking.
So raising interest rate is defeatist. It doesn't meet its objective.
Yeah, because raising interest rate now, you're being narrow-minded. You know, just targeting so that inflation will come down and all that. And my take is this. If they find ways, have a strategy of how to expand the economy, production, because no nation can actually grow without production, then, only then, as production is increasing, yes, inflation will be high, but within 3 to 5 years, there'll be a convergence. Inflation will drop.
You said strategy.
Yes.
What strategy could there be that we have not even considered over the years?
Yes, we had, but the implementation of all those strategies.
Give us an example.
You know, for instance, when Charles Oludo was CBN governor, he came up with needs, seeds, and leads. If we had followed up, when Yaradua came, those things were, discarded with, okay? So the competitiveness, the area that the strategy of saying, okay, look, let us start with the raw material base. Look at the factor endowments in different states. Where do we want to play? And as far back as 2006, Nigeria's economy was about 79% of West African economy. And what they could do, if they could speed up the borders so that trade can happen, then the economy will also improve. Now the manufacturers are finding it difficult to produce. You saw what happened to Dunlop a few years ago. The big tire manufacturing that Dunlop wanted to engage in, after retooling their factory, spending over 8 billion naira to retool their factory, then there was a policy reducing import tariff of big tires from 40% to 10%. Whose interest is this serving? The importers of those tires. So there have been policy somersault here and there, and policy inconsistency that made it impossible for businesses to grow. My friend who runs a tomato factory, Risco, I spoke to him recently. He's also choking even to pay salaries. He's been fighting and fighting for them to really ban the foreign potatoes, because the indigenous ones have capacity to meet up demand. And even if they don't have capacity, the government policy should be, how do we make you have the capacity to?
Mr. Nweze, agricultural development is critical to the survival of the manufacturing sector, particularly because of backward integration issues and all of that. But in the absence of that right now, what are the options available to the CBN such that we don't go through another round of raising interest rates in the next 1 month if we have another high inflation figure?
Yeah, the thing is about in agriculture that people that are not supposed to play in that sector are also playing. I remember when Adesina was minister, he registered about 10 million farmers, and we are hungry. How can we have 10 million farmers and we are hungry? These are people that want to take advantage of, And again, the CBN, I don't know how, whether it's part of their mandate, because sometimes they go out of their mandate to do this, ankle borrowing and all that. Okay, so if there's sincerity, for instance, one of the major agricultural firms owned by foreigners borrowed money from CBN, about 40 billion or so, and they budgeted about 10 billion just to crash prices of so that competitors will not be able to operate, and they achieved that within 5 years. Those competitors sold to them, so we are going back to monopoly, and you know that monopoly will never develop any economy. So there should be some kind of law against an anti-monopoly, anti-competition law, like they have in U.S. antitrust law, which will open up the space, and any company that is becoming too big or too monopolistic, you break it down. Yeah. So these are the things that are playing out in that sector.
Okay, now, speaking to the functions of the economy as we build up to the elections, what are the questions you would want Nigerians, or you would suggest Nigerians to be asking? If you would draw an agenda for the Nigerian on the questions to ask concerning the economy, so that our lives can be better, so that purchasing power of the Nigerian can improve, what are those questions that you'll be prescribing?
No, well, there are some critical key areas that even the Nigeria Economic Summit Group also came up with, that we feel that the critical areas of the economy that should be focused on. One is education. And you can see that we're on strike, okay?
But primary schools and secondary schools are not on strike.
Yes, but the tertiary. Okay. And these are the repository of knowledge that will work with industries and all that. Two, all I'm asking is just functional education. We need to reform it. Two is health, okay? Health is wealth, for some time, for instance, it was recently I realized how important my health, till I started having health challenge, okay? So it's important to us, and most of the things is that we could, the doctor that takes care of me now comes from the UK, okay, to Lagos every month. All right, so
that's interesting. So you don't go.
Yeah. Health tourism.
Yeah, so it's so we can. Why can't we? And he's a Nigerian he's a Nigerian. So you see, we need to reform our health sector so that I'm happy with what is happening with some of the new health centers going on, like I've seen around Lagos and also outside Lagos. So another area is ICT. This is a knowledge economy. In the year 2000, the world entered the knowledge economy, and ICT is the driver, okay, of this. So many countries, and you said .com companies have grown, even brick and mortar companies grown faster, brick and mortar. So that's the ICT. Agriculture is also one of it. But the challenge I have with agriculture, the way we do agriculture, is a concept of agriculture. You see, because agriculture is agricultural science. But we've taken away science from agriculture. Okay? Agriculture is supposed to be 95% science and 5% work. And why do we still wait till for seasons to happen for us to eat some of this fruit? Why can't we grow? And I'm happy with what is going on right now. And, they say something is mother of invention. There's a saying around.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes. When the header farmer issue started happening, some people came up with an idea of how to grow. I could see if people grow yam, tubers of yam in a sack without actually tilling the ground and all that.
So now let's tie that to what governments can do going forward, particularly as we're at the edge of another election. How can that science of agriculture be incorporated into a development plan that would work? And I noted that you also queried the CBN's development finance involvement, as being, whether it's being part of their mandate. So are you saying that the CBN should hands off
there's not even the conventional banks. They're not set up to understand the kind of risk that entrepreneurs take, because everything is towards financing entrepreneurs. We need to have more venture capital firms, more private equity firms. These are anywhere in the world. If you want businesses to grow, you need to channel those funds, not through BOI, okay? Because conventional banks are not set up for them to reason the way entrepreneurs, because they have not, but venture capital firms are also entrepreneurs. They will just take a seat in the company, handhold the company, they will grow. After 5 years, they check out and move on to another company. These are people that, but we are not, I can't count up to 10 venture capital firms for a population of 200 million. Look at Israel. Israel, for instance, of 7 million, but they have about 300 venture capital firms. So any new idea can actually, and our boys are coming up with new ideas, okay? And then we need the leadership, a leader that will be able to market, that understand business. We've not been blessed,
okay,
with leaders that understand business.
Okay, now
but this time around,
okay,
for instance, the Prime Minister of Laos has been following the MD of the CEO of Apple, just for one component of Apple to be manufactured in his country. He finally succeeded. From day one, 5,000 jobs created. I can see the addition it has done to the GDP.
In that light, let's close on this. There are certain countries that are known for certain specific products. It's not the only thing they do, but it's what they are most known for. The Netherlands, for instance, is for dairy products and all of that. If you would suggest a product agriculturally that, as Bukola suggested earlier, what product would you say Nigeria should focus on?
It's a bit challenging because we are blessed.
I'm going to allow you.
We are blessed with so many things, okay, and it will be, apart from oil, And I was telling someone recently that Nigeria's economy is already diversified. What we have not been able to achieve is to decentralize it.
Okay.
Because each community, there are factor endowments. Each community, we can grow and then grow it very well that we can export. Okay.
I guess you're already giving an agenda to the next government. We have to thank you because we have completely run out of time. Dr. Austin Weze, he is an economist, and thank you again for your perspectives this morning.
Thank you.
Well, some messages came from you on the program this morning, and let's begin with this one from Professor Imonoka about economic development. He says, economic development, let's diversify, deregulate the economy, reform power sector to drive down cost of production, cut interest rate on borrowing to single digits, grow the SMEs, and cut oil theft, invest in human capital development, health, and importantly, education. And
from Hansen April, there's an interesting thought to the cocaine seizure and, the destruction. And he says, the cocaine seizure was a welcome development, in fact, a celebrated one. However, burning it without a second thought is worrisome, because the Nigerian government could have sold it to the farm industry, that's the pharmaceutical industry, or beverage industries that need them. We can do better. That's Hansen.
Festus says, kudos to NDLEA for cracking down on drug barons and not allowing these dangerous criminals from dragging Nigeria down. The fact that NDLEA is destroying the seized drugs should be applauded because it will make us feel safer in the streets and secure our homes.
Well, that's the reason we ask you to send your messages.
All right, so there you go. That is the show today. We do thank you all for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for your different shades of opinion. They're very, very welcome. Thank you for watching. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo.
I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful rest of your day.